Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to make a digital name tag. This will be our first minor project for the digital art class, and these name tags will get printed out and put on your classroom bins where you will store all of your stuff. If you had intro with me recently, then you've gone through this digital editing software before, so a lot of this video will be review and refreshers for you, but it'll still be really great information. So I'll try and keep it brief, but just want to show you some tools with Pixlr, which is a free editing software. So all the info you need for this project is on Google Classroom, as well as my demo video, as well as the link for Pixlr, but you could also just type Pixlr into the search bar, that's fine as well. When you get on there, you're going to create new because you want a blank, empty canvas for your name tag. You can title it whatever you want. And then these dimensions are actually very important so that they end up being the right size for us to put on our bins. So it's going to be 2250 by 750. So you'll want to type those numbers in first. That way it'll be the correct ratio for you, and then just click create. So now you've got this blank canvas to work from. This is the size of your name tag. You can read the rubric for your name tag of what you're going to be graded on, but you should fill all of this space with something. And I want you guys to show off your personality a little bit like this. If you've taken intro with me before, same idea with that name tag. I want you to show me your art style. I want to get to know you a little bit better, so make sure you put your own self into this creation. Now it does have to include your name, so we're going to start with the text tool, which is up here. Add new text. Okay, now text tool modifications is nothing you haven't seen before, right? You've got your font options that you can pick. These little crowns next to the options mean that you have to pay for those, so avoid those ones. Make sure you pick a free one. You can change the color. You can change the spacing of the letters. You can change the alignment. You can add a curve if you want it to kind of go in a different shape. You can add an outline. You can add a shadow. Okay, so that's the easiest part is your name. So put that in there. That's, important for the name tag. Anything else you add is totally up to you. So you could add some drawings or some shapes or something like that. You can use the drawing tool tab here. You'll want to work in separate layers. So you usually start with 2 here. So I can drag this empty layer on top, and I can use my brush tool to create some drawings. Again, if you took intro, this isn't new to you. You can change the size and the softness, and you can even make it a little transparent if you want. You could also add shapes, and you can erase and all of that stuff. So drawing, we know how to draw with digital softwares, hopefully. Now, your layers are super important, and this is going to be a recurring theme for the digital art class, is keep your organized layers so that you know what is what, and you can have everything separate, and you can change things. So if I have my drawing on top of my name, obviously I can't see it. I'm going to drag my layer down here. That way it is behind, and again, I can keep it separate. Whichever layer is selected is the one that you are currently editing, so make sure if you're drawing, you have your drawing layer selected. If you're editing the text, you have that selected, so you keep that, again, separate and organized. Now, I don't really want to add any drawing, so I'm going to undo. Actually, I'll just delete that layer. Okay. I'm going to move on, but really quick here. When you are done with your name tag, you'll save it as an image file. If you are not done by the end of this class period, then you'll want to save it as a PXZ file, which is here. Now, what this means is it just keeps all of the information, like your separate layers and the edits that you've done so far, into a file type, so that if for some reason Pixlr doesn't remember your project, you can upload this file to Pixlr. It will read it, it will know all of that data, and you'll be able to keep working with it. So this is how you save in progress projects. When you're totally done, you save it as a JPG. That way it's just an image and you're good with that. So if you don't finish today, PXZ is what you want. When you are totally done and you don't need the in progress file anymore, JPG is what you want. Okay, so I want to add some photos to my name tag because I think that will best express my personality. So for each photo, I'm going to add a new layer, again, keeping everything separate and organized. All right, so now I have 3 photos in here. Now they're not exactly the size of my canvas, right? So I'm gonna need to change them. Remember to always have your layer selected for when you are editing it. Only the one that you have selected in blue here is the one that you're gonna be able to change. Now I want to have all 3 of my boys' faces on here, so I'm going to need to kind of align it until they all fit correctly. If you're having trouble aligning images, like I want to edit this one and I keep accidentally selecting this one, great thing about having separate layers is if you don't want to click on it, you can click these 3 dots here in the corner and click lock. And now it literally won't let me click on that image. Another thing you can do instead of locking it is you can just make it invisible. By clicking the little eyeball there. And same idea, you can't click on it if it's not there. So if you're trying to avoid certain parts, you can make them invisible. Now I want my boys to be kind of mushed together here, so I'm going to use the cutout tool. Again, if you were in intro, you're familiar with how this works, but I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. I'll be using the drawing cutout tool so that I can trace around my guys here. Let's start with the middle, Calcifer. So select my layer, have him selected, change the size of my brush. I like to keep it nice and soft, and then everything I draw on will get removed from the image. If you have it not soft, it will just cut it directly out like scissors. I like the soft look, so it's up to you if you're trying to use this tool. And remember, if you accidentally take too much away, you could just switch that to keep and then draw it back in. All right, so now I have them all blended together. At this point, I want to edit the photos, just like play with the colors and the settings and stuff. So I don't need to have them as 3 separate layers, and I can actually merge them all together into one. That way I can edit them all at one time. So if you have multiple images and you want to edit them all at one time, you can click merge down, which is here. And all that does is merge it with the layer directly below it. Okay, so now you can see I have all of them in one layer. Now, if I want to edit up like the photo settings and stuff, I can do that, and it will affect all of them. So I'm going to play a little bit with the adjustments. You guys know how to do this, so I don't need to explain it to you, but change the brightness, change the saturation, everything you like there. When you're all done, click apply. And then I can add some fun effects if I want. If you click on any of these, there should be more underneath it. So if you want kind of like a filter on top of your photos, you could do that. And then you can also change the intensity of that filter. All right, a few more tools. Again, if you took intro, you're familiar with them, but I just want to give a refresher. The liquefy tool will distort your image in different ways. So you can push things, you can grow things, you can swirl things, and that's just kind of fun. So if you want to use that tool, you can. Another thing you can use is the clone stamp tool, which is under the retouch panel here. This one's a lot of fun. Since I've merged my images into one layer, that means the clone stamp tool will apply to the entire canvas. So that's really nice. So if I want to draw some of Hobbs over here, I can do that. Okay, so I want to keep mine pretty simple. So I'm just going to add a few more elements to my image, and there are some that come preloaded into the software, which is really fun. So if I click add element, I can add an overlay, I can add a border, I can add like stickers and stuff that come with the program. Again, free, awesome. Also, again, avoid the crowns. Those ones actually cost money. All right, so I've just added this overlay, and I want to still see some of the image through it, so I'm actually going to go over here to my layer and turn that opacity down, which makes it a little bit more see-through. I just want a little bit of sparkle. And then I want to stretch it over the whole image here, so I'm going to go to the transforming panel and make sure that this is an X, and that means that I can stretch it. If it is a lock, that means it'll hold that ratio and it won't let me enlarge it. All right, so I've got kind of a fun overlay. I've got my guys a little bit see-through. I can also add some like borders. All right, and the last step is just to make sure that my name's on top. And that's it. So when you are totally done with your digital name tag, read the rubric to make sure that you're happy with it and that you meet all the requirements. So that is found on Google Classroom there. And then you're going to save it as a JPG file. And you're going to upload it to this Google Classroom assignment. So you should be able to say view assignment and then add your file there. Now, again, reminder, if you are not done with your project, you'll want to save it as a PXZ file. If you are done, save it as a JPG. Please do not upload a PXZ file to Google Classroom because I cannot read those. I can only read the image files. So make sure finished, JPG, not finished, PXZ. Keep that straight. If you need any help, just let me know. And that's it. So have fun making your name tag.